Exposed obsession Sophie had always believed that kindness was a simple virtue. She made an effort to be polite, to acknowledge those around her, and to extend warmth to those who seemed alone. She never imagined that a small act of courtesy would spiral into an ordeal that would consume her life. It all started at the bookstore where she worked part-time. That's where she met Evelyn, a woman in her late 40s, refined but distant, her sharp green eyes lingering a little too long. She visited often, asking for recommendations, engaging Sophie in meandering conversations, always appearing reluctant to leave. At first, Sophie thought nothing of it. Evelyn simply seemed like someone who enjoyed their brief exchanges. Then came the gifts, a rare poetry book left at the counter with a note, for someone who truly understands words, fresh lilies carefully placed at her doorstep, handcrafted chocolates wrapped in gold foil, no name attached but the sender obvious. At first, Sophie was flattered, then slightly uneasy. Perhaps Evelyn was simply grateful, but something about the attention felt off. Then Evelyn began appearing everywhere. At the university library, standing in the corner, watching. At Sophie's favorite cafe, seated alone but always positioned where she could see Sophie. At the grocery store, so close Sophie could feel her breath. Fate has a funny way of bringing people together, Evelyn murmured once, her voice rich with an unsettling certainty. Sophie's unease turned to dread when she returned home one evening to find her apartment door ajar. Nothing was stolen, yet the feeling of intrusion lingered like a stain. A book lay open on her coffee table, one she hadn't touched. A teacup half full with a trace of lipstick. The scent of Evelyn's perfume hung in the air. She reported it to the police, but they dismissed her fears. No direct threats, they said. Try to avoid contact. But Evelyn was impossible to avoid. The messages escalated. Emails from anonymous accounts, detailing Sophie's outfits, the way she carried herself, the expressions she made when she was deep in thought. "You're most beautiful when you don't realize I'm looking," one message read. That's when Sophie decided to fight back. Following expert advice, she installed security cameras inside and outside her apartment. She carried a recording device at all times. She documented everything, every encounter, every unwanted message, every sign that Evelyn had been near. Then came the most chilling discovery. In her mailbox, wrapped neatly in a delicate silk scarf, she found a stack of photographs. Sophie walking through the city, Sophie reading by her window, Sophie sleeping, and worse, images of other women. Some she recognized from her neighborhood, others strangers. Evelyn wasn't just obsessed. She had done this before. Determined to end the nightmare, Sophie sought help from a private investigator. They uncovered Evelyn's past, previous victims, restraining orders, women who had seemingly disappeared from her life. With overwhelming evidence in hand, Sophie forced the authorities to act. Evelyn was arrested outside Sophie's home, her eyes still filled with quiet obsession. A search of Evelyn's house uncovered a shrine. Sophie's pictures lined the walls, stolen belongings displayed like trophies, handwritten notes professing an undying devotion. With Evelyn behind bars, Sophie could finally breathe. But it took time to unlearn the paranoia, to stop looking over her shoulder, to silence the fear that lingered even after her stalker was gone. Because some shadows can be dragged into the light, and once exposed, they lose their power. Sophie had taken control of her story, and she would never be a victim again.